this because I got on a groove and sometimes I forgot. Last week I forgot to take the mic off, so making sure I press record for the other folks who couldn't join us. So anyways, point, this is my major claim, this is my opinion, this is my thought process, and then that O is the explanation of your opinion. The point or the purpose usually has a because behind it. I really like that movie Black Panther because, right, Chadwick Hardwick is really good eye candy. Just putting that out there, right? So that's my opinion, humbly. That's my purpose of what I'm going to say within the next 5-6 sentences that I'm going to offer you. And then I can go through and I can add proof, and I can maybe talk about his costume. I can maybe talk about his swag. I can maybe talk about just, you know, I don't know, Black distinguished excellent men on camera. Who knows? Those are my examples that'll be up there. The impact of that, that's when you tell us like what the meaning is, right? Like, why is that important? Are people dying because of this? Are diseases being healed? What are the consequences? What are the outcomes of your overall claim that you offered to us, right? So purpose, explanation of that purpose, 2 to 3 examples or pieces of proof to back it up. Examples always work best in clusters. You know, when you hear somebody offer an opinion, you say, well, I just don't think that's true. And they only offer you that one example. So once you've knocked that one example down, it's like, oh, well, how do I come back with like a refutation to say, well, hey, I'll give you another very crude example, but visually I think it works. If you were to go into, I would never encourage this, but if you were to go into a fist fight or have a brawl on the street, right? Would you want to have just yourself against like 5 or 6 people? Or would you want to have 4 or 5 different, you know, supporting characters just in case you get knocked out and somebody else can have your back? If you have one example and that example gets knocked out, there's nobody else there to have your back. So make sure you have 2, 3, 4 examples tucked away in your back pocket, just so you have a lot of depth, relevance, and impact to the overall message itself, right? Now that T is not tricky at all, but it has 2 purposes. If you are having a longer speech and you know you have 2 or 3 main points, which in our future unit, we will have 2 to 3 main points, the T is a transition. It's just a bridge to the next thought. Now that I've completed my opinion on Black Panther and Chadwick Hardwick, we can move on to talking about the Avengers and how I really disliked the ending of that movie, right? So you kind of end one thought and connect it to the next thought. That's that transition. If you don't have another main thought or main idea that you're moving to, then the best thing to do is just put a full circle on it and take it back to the point so that you reiterate what the main point was for your audience or the listener of your message, okay? I kind of talk fast, I know this. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to use the chat box or feel free to unmic and ask your question along the way.
Main point.
The discussion boards are designed to really master this Pop-It method, because if you use the Pop-It method correctly, it should be about 1 minute in length, speaking time, right? In this lovely little box right here, this is your first note card. Right? I know that some of us, in fact, I 100% believe that 90 to 95% of us out there are very rooted in kind of the English method of sketching everything out line for line and sentence by sentence, right? It's just in us. We are asked to sketch our thoughts out. And so here's our notes. We do sentence by sentence. I think that the best method, especially when you're trying to become conversational and fluid in kind of the delivery process, is to just use short phrases, right? This particular box isn't really big enough for you to have full sentences or paragraphs. One, if you do full sentences or paragraphs, it's really tempting to read off the page, right? Your eyes go back and say, wait, what's the whole sentence? Let me make sure I'm getting the exact whole sentence of it. But if you just put kind of a tagline, 5 to 6 words that tell you, here's what my main thought is, then that will just trigger in your memory, oh, I need to talk about Chadwick Hardwick and Black Panther. Right? And here's what I kind of want to say about that. Right? So just a couple of, you have a shorthand method inside of your head of what works for you in your note taking, and use 5 to 6, 5 to 7 words in these particular boxes to help you trigger what the idea is and what the message is. When we open up our next unit on Thursday and we talk about outlining and we start to have more fuller kind of Pop-It methods, you'll see that this here will start to expand a little bit, but those short phrases combined with the signposting, so where you're going to have your sources, where you're going to have your examples and your evidence, you'll have a complete outline without necessarily having an essay that's written on the page. Yeah. So by now you all have done almost a week and a half's worth of discussion boards. And the goal is to be able to apply this Poppet method. This is bothering me. This happens all the time. I'll add the extra P in there. So how's it working out for you all with the Poppet method? Do you feel like it's pretty simple, or are there some places that you could use some clarification on? All right. Yeah, impact and transition, I think, are the two that aren't necessarily as easy to kind of symbolically understand, if you will. The impact really is just about that outcome. All right. If you think about what's the outcome or the potential outcomes or the potential consequences, both positive or negative, right? What could happen positively? What could happen negatively if this were to come true? That's kind of the best way to show significance for the impact part. And then that transition, we talked about it being twofold. It has two purposes. One, to bridge kind of to the next thought, and the other kind of bring it full circle so that we can review what the main point or purpose was of the idea.
Okay.
All right. What are you giggling at, Sean?
Oh, you can hear me? I'm sorry.
I can. I love it.
I'm just a goof. I'm a goof. I think that's why I enjoy your videos so much.
Let me tell you how surprised and how pleased I am, because it is a little bit unnerving, especially that first week opening up when I have to introduce myself to you all and I'm just silly me. So I'm glad that you all are embracing that. Most of the students and the feedback I've been getting has been the same, like, okay, the videos have been pretty helpful. So
Personally, what I think was amazing is that you allowed us to go, okay, our instructor, pardon me, our doc, our professor is amazing. She's funny. She's focused. She's serious, which you did mention. You're silly and serious. So that's a great combination, I feel. It allowed us to look and go, okay, I can be a little more relaxed. So you set the stage introduction well in my book.
Oh, how awesome. I really do. I think that's the point, right? Like, I think most people signed up for this class thinking one of two things. One, this fits into my schedule really well, and it's kind of convenient that I don't have to meet face to face. But then two, also, how is this going to work? Like public speaking online, like how is this going to work? And we're really blessed because this is the first semester that ARC's being used. And Zoom is something I've used in the past, and that's been really awesome. But ARC ups the game, right? Like from the very beginning, from the very first, moment in class, it's like, wow, 3 videos due first week, doc, thanks. I know I just finished grading them all. I'm sorry, I do that every year, but now we know because those folks who are not with us have already dropped and they know that the class is not for them. And those who are sticking it out are really, really doing well, and so I'm excited that everybody got through those first 2 weeks, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the next month kind of leads for us. Going back to the silly and the seriousness, like that combination right there, I hope that you all totally embrace in your own work, right? Yes, I want you to become, get over your communication anxiety and just become comfortable in front of the camera. But I also just want you to have fun. Like this next unit that's coming out has a little message in there called Vlogging Ain't Easy. And it's just about kind of that repetition. In the first 30 seconds, I kind of crack myself up because it's like I start the vlog like 4 times. Right. I'm there with you all. I'm stopping, I'm going, I'm stopping, I'm going. I'm editing out the words that are verbal fungi for me to make sure that there's clarity. But also that's practice, right? If I've shut the video off 10 times to shoot it again, I've had 10 rounds of practice that I probably wouldn't have had if I had just gotten it up and, done it in front of a classroom on that first day, right? So I know in the first video, first set of videos of Am I Ready for an Online Class, there were lots of folks who were like, I know I'm going to shoot the video 27 times. Good. But challenge yourself not to shoot it 27 times, maybe just 10 times. And then if it's not working, give yourself a break and then come back 20 minutes later and start it again, because your body remembers it. You have to warm up, you have to teach it, what you want it to do. It's a big giant sponge. And after you do it 12, 15, 30 times, it knows kind of what the routine is and what you want it to do. So yeah, really embrace that. I hope that more towards the end of the semester, I don't expect this, it's not anything that is mandatory, but I hope that you all get into the storytelling process. Whether it's with the language of how you write your speeches and how you just talk to us on camera, or there are some filmmakers in our class, and I totally give you 100% to tell your story, right, in your speech, whether that's using the simple editing tools that you have, or if you're a little bit more advanced. I have a student who's had 5 years worth of Premiere. I'm trying to get on his level. Use it.
Right.
Just use it, and don't be afraid that you're going to be compared to anyone else, because each of us came in with our own skill set, our own starting point, and that's what I'm measuring you on, your particular progress on your particular level. So so how we doing down there, Mary Jane?
I had trouble with Zoom for a little bit. I didn't know how to use this. I was logging back on and off, but
yes. Good. Well, I'm glad you found us, and hopefully you all will take the lead with our next. One of the things that we have to do for the next unit is to host a Zoom room meeting, right? So that we all learn how to use the tools of Zoom. So we remind ourselves when to take the mic off and put the audio on, and when to press record, so that we get this experience too.
Yeah, I definitely like this, just having class. I'm basically doing everything on my laptop and my phone.
Yes.
And I'm really tech savvy, so I love this whole course that you're doing it on YouTube, and
yes,
it's amazing.
Man, I love it too. It is challenging because there's that user-friendly, wait, am I intuitively knowing how to press this button here, and why is this not working here? And some people were getting error messages from ARC last week, and it can be a little bit like, oh snap.
I was YouTubing everything. I was just like, how to use Zoom.
Yes, exactly. See? And that's the funny thing. That's why I think that YouTube is so awesome, right? I know some people are like, I'm not planning on using YouTube. Well, week 5, you're definitely going to be planning on using YouTube. But YouTube is the go-to. It's the 3rd largest search engine that people go to be able to find research and information. So definitely tag into YouTube. So
I did have a question for our upcoming project on the partner.
Yes.
I read on the bottom, it said, no, this is an interpretation of the information you gathered. So you really don't want us to go down okay, I asked them this, they responded this. It's more of a kind of a storytelling of the person we kind of got to meet.
I think you have a little bit more room to be creative.
Okay.
Right. And so I think that, if you do want to be a little bit more journalistic with the reporter style, I hear the podcast coming out. I met with Sean Glass on Thursday. Right. If you want it to be a little bit more journalistic, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I also think that you could totally tell the story about what your interview was like, how you all ended up, meeting, or if you used I'm curious about just kind of the whole process. I used to actually require a survey that told me everything, but with 90 students, I'm not actually having you all do that this semester. But just curious about kind of how you all got to know one another, and then your storytelling, and introduction of them. So there's no right or wrong to it. And you have a lot of creativity of how you want to approach that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad that everybody seemed to have found a partner. There were only 1 or 2 people who reached out to me to say that they couldn't find someone, and then they found each other. So that was kind of awesome. And it looked like everybody is paired off nicely. So hopefully that goes well. Those are due on Thursday, I think, at midnight. So good. Oh, awesome. You guys are so great. Just put out there that, folks are still willing to help people if they are still in need. And so if you are one of those floaters out there who are kind of thought, I only have 24 hours left to get this done, you can still get it done. So don't be afraid to log on to the internet and see which one of our classmates might be willing to help you out at the last minute. And so a good project is a done project. right? So that's how you capitalize on those points. So Pop-It method, Sean, it's funny because I said I was going to make you a video and I did. And then I was like all self-conscious and I never posted it. So I was like, I'll just make it a part of the live session. So I go through those moments too, where it's like, oh, I did this. I did my project, but I didn't turn my homework in. Encourage you all not to be so self-conscious. I try very much not to be judgmental and to be constructive in our criticism as we give feedback. And that's going to be one of the focuses of the next unit as well. It's just constructive criticism, constructive feedback. We're going to start to move into the reviews of once people give their concept demonstration speeches, which are more in-depth kind of like, speeches, how do we give them feedback? How do we help them to improve along the way in a very constructive, honest, transparent, but also nice, right, way? Because I think that some people not sure how they actually internalize feedback or receive feedback. So we'll talk about that a little bit with the next unit that's coming up. So just a forewarning in the last 10 minutes here that, on Thursday when I release the new unit, it's going to look like a whole lot at once. And that's because it is, but it's also a month's worth of material. And so my goal was to be able to release kind of the resources and the readings more bulky at the front of the month and the front of the unit so that you have a little bit more time to prepare. I know that you all are busy people. I really did enjoy watching the videos and listening to all of your stories about what you're doing in your lives. And so trying to just give you a little bit more time and leeway to kind of internalize the projects, ask questions along the way, and not wait until the last minute to get it done, right? And so I know procrastination is one of our wonderful qualities that we have, but working in advance really does help to decrease communication anxiety. Just preparation in advance can really help out with that. So, all right. Yes, absolutely, Sean. That Master the Minute is definitely going to be something that is the first 6 weeks of class. That Master the Minute is so important. You might hear other speech teachers or other communication teachers in the future say, even business folks use that elevator pitch concept. If you were to walk into an elevator and bump into somebody that you may want to work with or somebody who is of importance or authority or of power, what would you say in that 1 minute and how relevant can you make it? And one of our upcoming projects is actually to see if we can master the minute. How in depth can we get in the story that we tell in 1 minute? And I'm going to introduce you to this YouTube site channel called 60 Second Docs. And it really is just a collection of 60-second documentaries. And they're fantastic because they're jam-packed full of information in 60 seconds. And so I'm going to encourage us to see just how full we can get with telling our stories in 1 minute. So. All right. So Khadijah, you have a question for this assignment. What is your question, my friend?
So how we have the 8 a.m. every morning, and then I noticed there's like an 8 p.m. too.
Yes.
So do we still pick and choose?
Yes. I last week I talked to, when I first released the discussion boards, I know that some people saw the assignment before they actually read what the discussion boards were about. And so there was a little bit of a panic of, oh snap, I have this 8 p.m. deadline and I've been working all day. I'm taking the bus. When I get home, I have, to pick up my kids, I have to do A, B, and C. And so I got, several emails that kind of just told me their story very respectfully. Doc, this is what my situation is. The 8 p.m. deadline was unexpected. I was wondering if we could push it to the 12 o'clock midnight. It just works better for me. And there's a part of me that's like, no, the assignment is specific because it's an impromptu assignment. However, my addition of one extra discussion board is to really honor kind of where you all are in your own lives. So now you will have one discussion board for the daytime shift and one discussion board for the nighttime shift. And that's just to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to successfully participate in one discussion board a day if they wanted to. You still only need to do 2 a week. Even though now you have 10, you're still only required to do 2 a week. But now the opportunity both for your own improvement and for those bonus points really doubles up for you. So the bonus points stay the same, but I've just doubled up on the question so that those folks who need to take advantage of the nighttime shift have that option available. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a really good question. And for those folks that I didn't email back, I'm really not ignoring you. I really have been talking to you through all these videos and stuff. And so I do hope that you go back to the materials. And that's a lot, and I get it. We're working at our own pace, but I'm really not ignoring you. If you sent me an email and I didn't get back to you, 90 students trying to email me every day is a lot during the first 3 weeks. Don't forget about the other 100 students who are trying to get in the class. That's a true story. So. But thank you for your question. So any other questions before I kind of wrap things up here?
I had one that I just about, but we can still do both if it works with our schedule. Say for instance, Thursday, I know I'm busy for both time frames. Yep. I can do 2 on Wednesday.
Yes. Okay. Absolutely. You can do 2 on Wednesday if you wanted to. You could do 1 on Monday and 1 on Friday if you wanted to. I think it would be a good kind of practice to start early in the week, just in case you get bogged down, right? If you get 1 knocked out early in the week, then it seems to me that you should be able to accomplish 2 for the week. Speaking of which, last week I noticed on the discussion boards, I know I'm getting caught up on my grades and you'll see more points and more scores go up, but I've been watching the videos and trying to make comments as quickly as possible. But speaking of the discussion board, on the back end, I can see kind of everybody's submissions. And I know that there were some folks who didn't make any discussion boards for the first week. No judgment, right? I just want to put out there that for the first 6 weeks of class, we do the discussion boards, and then there won't be any more discussion boards. And so I'm going to go back to my try not to miss so many early on, because it's not a miss one, make one up kind of bonus opportunity, right? If you miss one, do another one the next week, but know that it's not, I'm guaranteed to get the 10 points. It's based on the point system for the bonus, points that we have there. Mm-hmm. So if you miss one, you might end up having to do 2 or 3 more just to make up for those 10 points. And so just be aware, not a good look to wait till week 5 to see if you could just knock out 20 discussion boards, right? I think that's a little bit too challenging. That's really not where I want people to be at in terms of the goal of the assignment itself. So I really like the daily discussion board. I didn't know if I would, but I really do think that goal of every day having an opportunity to put it into practice is really an open invitation. And a lot of people are taking advantage of that. And you can see the improvement on a day-to-day basis, which is really great to watch. So when, like I said, week 5, we come in with the how to use YouTube and how to create your playlists and so on and so forth, you can start to kind of make a playlist of just your discussion boards and dumping them in there. And then you can go back and see, oh my goodness, after 20 discussion boards, look how good I got at using the Poppet method. Look how much, more substance and more relevance I'm able to add now after 20, 25 times of doing this particular assignment, not counting the 10 times that you stopped code before you submitted. So I promise you all a little bit more Anya this week. Actually, she pops out a little bit later tonight with our vocal warm-ups and our physical warm-ups discussion boards. I'm not telling you the question, but I think from the headline, you can pretty much guess kind of what they'll focus on. And so I put the video in there, and then it'll also be out with the next unit. So enjoy our lovely, I've watched the video like 100 times. She is a crack up, and I just think we are hilarious. So I hope that you all laugh a lot too. And I hope that you do some of the warm-ups. Yes, they seem silly because they are, but they really do work out kind of your facial muscles and your vocal muscles and your verbal muscles. And later on, I'll throw in some more tips about, what happens? How can I warm up, when I'm in a room full of people and there's 10 people and my heart's beating super fast? Well, here's my tip for you, and don't tell anybody because I don't want to get fired. Just squeeze your butt 100 times. I know. You're like, Doc, really, like, squeeze my butt? That's just weird and kind of gross. No, but seriously, your butt is a muscle, okay? It's gluteus maximus muscle. If you squeeze it 100 times, all that adrenaline and energy that you have, it gives it a place to actually be useful. And also, nobody's going to be looking at your butt. And if they are, that's a totally different issue. And we should probably address that in another video, okay? So squeeze your butt 100 times before you go into that interview. Nobody knows. You can laugh at yourself, and you can go in with a little bit less adrenaline. So on that note, I will download this Zoom video for you all and add it with the next unit. It'll come out tomorrow, sometime in the afternoon. But I look forward to next week's meeting, and I hope that you all can join me again next week. So Bye, my friends.